Welcome to another episode of Premium Times Podcast, where we dive deep into the conversations that matter. I am your host, Esther Adaji. Famous for his song Jaga Jaga, released in 2004 during Olusegun Obasanjo's regime as president of Nigeria. Eedris Abdulkareem's latest song, Emi Lokan, doesn't spare Tinubu's regime. Eedris has used his music to address Nigeria's societal ills. In this episode, we will be having a conversation around his latest song, Emi Lokan. With me to discuss this is Wills and Olayinka. So guys, have you listened to the new song by Eedris Abdulkareem, Emi Lokan?
Oh yeah, I heard it once. I felt like it was the same old thing. That's for me. That's what I feel like.
Yeah, I totally agree with you too. It's the same old Eedris, basically. And I think that he spoke about some particular things, some particular issues in Nigeria right now, that we are facing. So, it's Eedris at the end of the day. So, it is what it is.
I think in a recent podcast, he identified himself as a pace setter for Afrobeats. Do you think this claim is true?
As a pace setter for Afrobeat, I think that it wasn't properly put. I want to say, we can say Eedris is one of the pace setters, but we cannot say Eedris is the pace setter. Based on what? How are you the pace setter, Eedris? I don't think it's put in the right context. We can say Eedris is one of the pace setters in Nigeria, sure. No doubt about that. He contributed massively in Nigeria music industry. And then Afrobeats, putting it in Afrobeats, was Eedris really doing Afrobeats? Okay, I want to believe that a lot of songs from that era can be termed, Afro music, based on genre or however we want to look at it. But I don't think that Eedris, if we will say, who are the pace setters or who is the pace setter in Nigerian music industry, which we cannot even point one person in particular. But I think that if we will say, okay, who are the pace setters, we can call Eedris. But it's not like he is the most outstanding amongst them at the end of the day. He's just one of them. There's no how we would not look at the music industry in Nigeria and its evolution, and at some point we will not call Eedris Abdulkareem into the conversation. But him wanting to carry the whole glory to say, I am the pace setter, no, let's all be serious here.
I think in also agreeing to what he just said, it would be appropriate for us to also define what a pace setter is, so that we put it into proper context. So what is a pace setter?
So, according to dictionary.com, a pace setter is a person, a group, or an organization that is the most progressive or successful and serves as a model to be imitated.
In that context, just like what Yinka just said, it's absolutely unagreeable, because one of the things you mentioned is that he is, what was it again? The last one you said. Imitated. Yeah. I don't know who is imitating him. The other one too was that he's progressive and successful.
And serves as a model.
So now, those are very, very high standards that I don't think I will put an Eedris currently on. How successful is Eedris in the music industry?
I have no idea.
Me too. How?
I think Eedris is he was successful.
But now, because he put it in the context of being a pace setter now, and it's difficult for you to point a finger at people imitating him and doing what he's doing exactly and doing well too, and he too is just as well. I mean, very easily you can still call the likes of like Fela a pace setter, because till tomorrow Fela's records are still selling. He is a pace setter. In the reggae industry, reggae genre of the music industry in Nigeria, you can still call people like Raskimono. His songs are still thriving. He's a pace setter in that genre in Nigeria. You can call people like Majek Fashek. He's a pace setter. His records will still sell till tomorrow. But please point me to one record of Eedris that is selling right now and that can still sell.
Is it the Nigerian Jaga Jaga?
Well, Nigerian Jaga Jaga, I don't know which other countries in the world that I've probably heard that song, especially maybe only Nigerians would play it, and how many are they? But there are songs, let's even point out to his colleagues that rose during the era when he was popular, with all due respect, it's not like I'm not saying he's not popular now. He probably still has his fans. But someone like Two-Face. Two-Face's African Queen, whether you want to debate that it was written by him or not, is still being played all over the world.
Yes.
Like, basically all over the world, even by people who don't speak English. Two-Face can be said to be a pace setter. And he also broke out at the same time when Eedris became popular. So, I mean, pace setter, I don't think we should throw words around lightly like that. He should find another thing to say. Yes, he was influential, just like Inka said. We cannot just throw him away, for in the music industry in terms of, what sacrifices some people have made in the music industry. Yes, he did some things. But pace setting, yeah.
And yes, and then on the part of him being a role model, as the pace setter, as the meaning of pace setter is, him being a role model, I don't think Eedris is a role model. And then again, I don't think growing up, so many Nigerian artists thought, I want to be like Eedris Abdulkareem when I grow up. I don't know. So, so that's also something to consider. So I think that maybe Eedris has, he overhyped himself. I think that he did not use the proper words that he was meant to use to convey whatever his thoughts are. He probably could have put it in a better way. But from what Eedris said in that podcast, it seemed Eedris overhyped himself and he raised himself more than he actually is, basically.
I think, to be fair, perhaps, he thrives on controversy. So, well, let's give him credit for that. He did something controversial again, as he usually would. So, yeah.
Do you think his songs, do you think they address societal issues?
Address? I wouldn't say they address. I would say they mention most of the things that people already know, especially in the context of, calling out figures like what he did in this recent song, how much is being spent to build a residence for the vice president, how much is spent on food, feeding of animals and all of those things, There are figures that have been out there for a while. A lot of people know them. And so addressing it, I would have said, if he perhaps made some suggestions as to how to either mitigate these kinds of things in future or directly solve issues. The hunger he talked about, I mean, it's very easy for you to just get up and shout, people are hungry. The person who is hungry knows he's hungry, but you're not giving him a solution to his hunger. So that is not addressing the issue. That is just, you're highlighting my sickness or my pain.
Or you're adding to the complaints.
Exactly. So how does that solve my issue? But I always ask people who come out to shout about things like this, what solutions are you preferring? You know, I think that would have made more sense to me, in my opinion.
Well, I think he pointed out some issues in Nigeria. As regards address, I don't know if he really addressed it, but he pointed out what it was. I mean, what it is, basically. And those are the issues in Nigeria. And, well, I think I will applaud him a little based on, you know, him coming out to, you know, use the little medium that he has, the platform that he has to say, okay, this is what is going on in the country. We don't really have too many people coming out to do that in that industry. I think it's a wake-up call too for some people, for some other artists to come out and, you know, just address some issues, say what is going on in the country, use your platform to sensitize people, use your platform to, you know, just put out useful information to the public and sensitize people, basically. So I would really applaud Eedris for coming out to say it. But, you know, then again, it's Eedris, and maybe there are better ways one can convey messages. You know, Eedris always comes out all violent the way he goes about his things. You know, the Nigeria Jaga Jaga that he came up with earlier on. Why are you coming to tell us that we are Jaga Jaga and all that? I had my own reservations about that song, basically. But I think that as at that period, because of the issues on ground, we all accepted it, and, you know, it is what it is. Good. Now coming to say, you know, these things, I think it's not bad, actually. We need somebody to come and say, things are bad, so that everybody knows that, yes, things are actually bad. And then, as, you know, really mentioned now, there's the need to, in as much as you're coming out to say things are bad, what are the solutions? What are your own ideas? What do you think? So as you're coming out to say these things, it's also essential for you to say, you know, provide one or two solutions, just say one or two things. And also, even if possibly, encourage us, because things are hard. We can't always be hearing, things are hard, Nigeria is messed up, this one, that one. Encourage us to let us have small hope. You know, so that's my own opinion about it. And then I think that musically, the song can also be better. If you look at what is going on in the country, look at the music industry, look at the music scene. The music we put out these days are top-notch. Top-notch. Is that music? Is it interesting enough for me to listen to it once and then say I want to listen to it a few more times? I don't think so. Personally, you know, I came across that song just randomly, so I wouldn't go look for that song, for starters. But then I came across it and then I heard the song. I liked some of the message in the song, but the song is not interesting enough for me to say I want to listen to that song again. So it's important that when one is trying to put out some of these messages, let the song be interesting so that, you know, this message can go as far as possible, you know. So yeah, that's my own, just what I think about it, basically.
In a recent post, I don't know if you guys listened to that podcast. In a recent podcast, Eedris claimed that he sacrificed his career for the success of Wizkid, Davido, and Burna Boy. How true is this?
Well, I don't know how he did that. Maybe he would need to tell us how exactly he was able to sacrifice his career, because if, I mean, I really cannot come to terms with it. There are so many people who have been pace setters in certain ways, you know, in the music industry, in Nigeria and in Africa. And to say sacrifice, well, so Eedris comes off as someone who has been, you know, trying to rejuvenate his career, and in doing that, he has become some sort of activist. So the only way I can relate with him, and I mean, it's the only thing, in fact, he keeps to chest, which he talks about everywhere he goes to, is the time where he had a fight with 50 Cent when he visited Nigeria. And for him, what he always tries to portray as was the win from that incident was that he made people realize, especially artists in Nigeria, realize how valuable they are, and how they should be treated. Well, I don't know if that was actually the thing, because I haven't spoken with all the artists at that time. I don't know how they were being treated and how they also tried to make things right for themselves. But if you having a fight on a plane, changed the entire trajectory of how artists in Nigeria are treated, well, that's a great feat. Then you did well. But then again, I cannot say to the fact that it was that singular act that changed everything about how
sacrifice.
Yeah, that was a sacrifice that changed how all artists in Nigeria are being treated. I don't know how that speaks to itself. So
I think we need Eedris to tell us more about this. What
sacrifice.
do you think?
Yeah, I think, basically, he really needs to come out and explain this sacrifice. Whether they went to a slab and but I mean, it. I don't know. Or he paid with his. According to him, he said he paid with his career. So which means his career now is dead. Because if sacrifice is anything, I probably understand properly. It would be that that one has gone. So now you are no longer a musician. The rest now are. So what is he doing coming out to sing about Emi Lokan again? I mean, so I don't know.
I don't know. I think that the way Eedris uses some of his words, because if you say sacrifice is also another huge word to use, So if you said he sacrificed his career, what did he do? What did Eedris do to say that you sacrificed the career? And just like Willie mentioned now, the highlight of whatever Eedris might have done, and even all his career as a whole, was the issue with 50 Cent. Now, when you were when that whole thing was happening, were you thinking of the Nigerian music industry as a whole? Were you thinking of just your own self? Were there issues that you needed to address? Because I heard some of his colleagues, the previous podcasts, they just coming out on social media and on different video Zoom meetings that they've had, Instagram, different platforms basically, and some of them were, I think they were unhappy with what he said, saying that he paved the way, saying that he was the one that, based on so not even that, basically based on what happened on the plane then. Some of his colleagues said that it was more of a personal thing, that he did it from a personal point of view, and that, they were not they didn't agree collectively on what Eedris did, and some of them were even surprised based on what Eedris did. Now, is what happened on that plane now? Is that now what ended Idris's career? If that is what ended Idris's career. No, because we have to also consider it, because if he said he sacrificed, that means what happened on that plane made him lose his career and all that. So, as you mentioned, Eedris will need to come out and let us all know how he sacrificed for the likes of Burna Boy and all that. And then again, I think that Eedris, I don't understand Eedris sometimes, because there have also been certain times when you expect Eedris to come out, since he's usually the one that likes to say he can come out and address issues. What happened to Eedris during October 2020?
Okay, yeah,
Where was he during the EndSARS period?
Although you mentioned it in this song, but he waited this long to talk about it. I mean, yeah. So I think really, just like you said, there are certain things that Eedris needs to explain to us. He's always very quick to play the victim card. I was blacklisted. I lost endorsements. I did this. Okay, and all of a sudden, after all that, you were the scapegoat that was used as sacrificial lamb for the entire music industry to become as big as what it is now. Well, it's always easy for one who has failed in certain careers to make excuses, and I don't think there's an exception to this. So that's how I see it.
Yeah. Ever since he dropped his Emi Lokan song, social media has been buzzing. There are different views. Like, a lot of people have been saying different things. Some were saying that he wasn't singing at all. Others were saying that he was speaking their minds. While others were saying that there is nothing new in what he was saying. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, for those who said, I mean, they are all right in their own respect. Yeah. For those who said he wasn't singing at all, well, I think he just should actually start a podcast. He might have a lot to he might have a lot. Exactly.
I think Eedris will do well.
Yes,
if he starts a podcast.
Yeah, like rapping in the podcast.
Yeah,
yes.
Well, I mean, I know there was a time when one of the guys who was in the plane, when that incident happened, was on a podcast in the US. And he said some things about that issue. I think the highlight, in fact, of what the guy was saying was that they didn't even know this guy who just came and sat on the chair where the crew from 50's team was supposed to be. So, in some way, he made it sound like the Eedris guy was irrelevant. But he was there, and then, and then they asked the guy to leave. But on the flip side, he now says this guy, after the fight, called someone, and before they knew it, the plane was stopped. So yeah, Eedris may have had some certain kind of influence at that time, and he was able to do that. Now, not too long after that podcast, Eedris responded with a diss track, a rap music. It was as if it was a FaceTime video, and he responded to the guy with a rap. So Eedris would make very good conversations if he starts his own podcast. And I'm sure that there are a lot of people who want to come to Eedris, and talk to him. And he has a lot of old colleagues that he will probably have things to ask or, talk about. Sometimes, it's better for you to talk than keep it and die. Have heart attack or something. So yes, he should talk, but it should be in the form of a podcast. And now he has released this now. This it sounds like a diss track again. So he has released this. He has released this now, and he's pointing out people like Pastor Adeboye.
Yeah.
He's pointing out President Tinubu and the rest. Yeah. For those who said he spoke their minds, obviously everybody is saying what is going on. And just like Inka said, it's a good thing for you to use your platform to highlight some of these issues in case if the people who are in government are shielded away from these realities. Yeah, maybe if this song can get to them, this track, yes, then it would make them come to reality, and perhaps do something. That's fine. Yeah. And then, so I think if he has already sacrificed his music career, the next level is if he's still alive in some other aspects. to begin to speak to the things that are,
you should look towards transitioning to podcasts rather than the music.
Yeah.
He will do well with a podcast rather than trying to come back to the music scene. A podcast would aid him more, where he can be able to express and say so many things. Because I think a lot of things that Eedris has to say is more than 3 minutes in a song.
Yeah.
Eedris has a lot to say, and I think that a song is too...
He has gone through a lot in Nigeria.
It's too small.
Yeah.
The time in a song is too small for Eedris to convey everything that he wants to say. So it's good for him, to consider a podcast. He'll do well, I think.
And maybe one of his first guests should be Sheun Kuti.
Oh, yes!
Yes, it will be very interesting.
It will be a very interesting podcast,
Speaking of the General Overseer, he criticized both the current regime and the General Overseer of Redeemed Christian Church. Can you relate with what he was saying?
So, in fact, the fun part is just like Inka said. The song, I have not listened to it more than once, and I don't know if I would really want to go back to it again. However, he was saying that, if I remember correctly, that the Redeemed General Overseer protested during Jonathan's regime. I've also seen a tweet from Reno Mokri debunking that statement, saying that he felt that President Jonathan had real good support from the pastor. And I mean, he was someone who walked in the corridors, with Jonathan at the time. So he might have more insight to this.
I think a good number of times too. We saw a few pictures where the president went to visit the pastor back then. So I don't think their relationship was bad.
Yeah.
I disagree with that. I want to disagree with that. I think they had a decent relationship because we saw pictures more than once. Yeah. So I don't think that's an issue.
And I mean, if one really wants to be critical, you can point fingers to almost everybody, in Nigeria concerning the leadership in Nigeria. You can't just pick and select some few persons who you think you can point at easily. There are so many other influencers, there are so many other people who one would have felt that they should come out and protest, come out and say things, and quite a lot, in all fairness, are doing so much as well. They are speaking up, So I don't know what his grouse is with President Obasanjo and the Redeemed Pastor, but they are doing what they can in their own quarters. Maybe they are not out there, telling people or shouting it in your face that this is what I'm doing. But I do believe that those men who have some form of access try in their own little way, to talk to the government. I mean, President Tinubu's wife is a pastor in Redeemed Church too. Yeah. She has access. I don't think that he'll be quiet about, telling her things that she needs to hear and perhaps relay to her husband. So, and President Obasanjo is renowned for writing letters.
Yes.
So, and he has visited with President Tinubu quite a number of times.
Even the wife recently.
Yeah, exactly. In fact, the wife also, yeah. So they are doing what they have to do, but they are not in your face, and they don't have to be, in all fairness. So until it is crystal clear, until they come out and say, oh, no, I'm not saying anything about these things, I think we should cut them some slack as well.
And then he also mentioned the part where he said the Tinubu's government will blame Buhari's government.
Yeah.
Buhari's government will blame Goodluck Jonathan's government and all that. But that's the truth too.
Yeah.
I think they also need to do better than the blame game.
Yeah.
Because usually now, I believe that even after this government is done with their tenure, the next one that comes to also say the previous government. But notwithstanding, we also have to acknowledge that things have been bad under those previous governments too. Things were bad under President Goodluck Jonathan's time. I think some people that were, put in certain offices did not do what they were supposed to do, and also misappropriated funds. And the same thing with Buhari's government, even though they are a different political party. Buhari's government also did not do so many things that they were meant to do, and they threw blames around. For the first, I think, 1 or 2 years, they kept throwing blames around. The Goodluck Jonathan's government did not do this, they did this, they misappropriated this, did this. And then, funny enough, the APC, this is under the same APC canopy. The Tinubu's government is coming in, and then they're also saying, they came in and then they're also saying, under the same party, that throwing blames on Buhari's government. I think that the government also needs to do better with that, rather than just throwing blames around. So I would credit him for, stating some particular things, and also pointing to the general overseer and all that. I think there are so many things you can point to before that. There are so many issues that you can point to before going to point to, the general overseer supporting the president and not supporting this other one and not. There are so many issues. So, I don't know. As we said, as I just mentioned not too long ago, that Eedris Abdulkareem needs more than a 3-minute song to be able to say so many things on his mind.
And also, I mean, it points me in the direction of any country in the world where a predecessor is not blamed for the situation in the country.
Western countries?
Yes, even Western countries. I mean, Trump blamed Obama for everything that happened. Even Obama, before Obama too, Obama's government also blamed the Bush government a lot, that they went to war, which is not a lie.
European countries?
Even European countries, even prime ministers in UK. Yes, one after the other as they enter, there's always... So it's either they do this thing overtly or covertly, They might not, but they have their proxies who would still talk about these things, And so they would blame the previous government for every difficulty that the people are facing.
He also spoke about this current president not calling out certain things that were done during Buhari's time. That Buhari was the President Tinubu was meant to call Buhari out on certain things. And I think he even mentioned a few, but I don't think I can really remember. But it's more technical and more difficult than saying President Tinubu should have called out Buhari for certain things that they did not do or that they did. We know how politics in Nigeria is and how certain things in Nigeria is. So it's I think it's too twisted for you to say President Tinubu did not come out to, point out certain things that were not done during Buhari's government. It's more technical than that. I'm sure that nobody can just come in and begin to tell President Tinubu what they're supposed to do. All you can do is advise the president. You cannot force the president to do what he doesn't want to do. So we can't be too sure if President Tinubu did not speak with Buhari on certain things that he felt should have been done or not during that period. So it's not right for you to just come out and say he did not call the president, he did not do this one, he did not do that one. As we said, it's a diss track at the end of the day.
and also, it's very easy for you to to point fingers and talk about things like this when you're not in that position. Yeah. How many of us really that would shout wolf from the outside can actually be in the position and be really able to make any difference, you know? Like I was saying earlier, I'm tired of hearing about the problems. I would really love to hear solutions to the problems, you know. Even the presidential candidates from the last election, they are still all in our ears till now, talking about the problems. I don't hear any of them really preferring solutions to them. Even when they do, they are like mirades, you know. There's really no concrete solution that you're preferring. And, you know, it's easy. It's very easy. But I have seen people who have shouted a lot and talked about how things are wrongly done in a place. And when they are given the opportunity to correct them, or maybe they are given the same positions, they will do the exact same thing or even worse. Yes. You know, because it's easy for you to see mistakes and point at them, just as it is easy for you to see success. But can you do right when you're put in a position? That is the main question. And if you are talking about problems, also always talk about solutions.
Do you know that Eedris is 50 years old? He doesn't look it, right? He looks young.
Good genes. He has good genes. Yeah. I think he has good genes. Yeah. And maybe he works out too.
Probably.
So.
Yeah.
I don't... if you look at Idris's face very well.
I mean, but that might be the economy again, you know.
Yeah. So do you think his role in the Nigerian music industry, do you see his role in the Nigerian music industry evolving, especially in relation to addressing societal issues as he thinks he's doing?
Evolving? I thought he had sacrificed it already. No, I thought he has sacrificed his career already. So something that has been sacrificed, I don't know how you want to evolve. That's why we are saying that the evolving now should be him personally, not the music career. Maybe he should evolve into something else, maybe a career in journalism or broadcast or podcasting, or, you know, one of those things. Or even going to writing books, you know, giving talks at different, maybe TEDx or something, you know. He, as a human, he can evolve. But as for the music career, well, I don't know. I'm not a guru. I mean that, or I'm not God. I cannot, you know, create that kind of thing out of nothing. But perhaps if he finds a genie and makes a wish, he might be able to to wake up the career that he has already sacrificed.
But because of the platform Eedris has, he can just develop it into different things, not in the music industry. The music industry has gone past Eedris Abdulkareem, you know, and also the consumers have gone past that. You know, that's the truth, because you know the way the Nigerian music is, it's difficult for you to, you know, be in the industry and then take a break and then come back. There are some complications in that industry. You need to be on point, you need to be on your game, you need to keep dropping music consistently. Only few people have been able to take breaks and come back and still be in the limelight. So for Eedris, he'll be in the limelight, but not for the musical, not for the music as a whole. No, not for the music. I think he can transition into so many things. And like we just said, the podcast, and then just avenues where he can speak, you know, even possibly speak to upcoming artists, you know, tell them his experiences, share his experiences. He can consider collaborating with somebody for a movie about his life so that we can better understand what he went through and everything in his life that has taken him to where he is right now. Because so many things happen in life, and we all just see things from our own perspective, but we don't know what happened in people's lives. And I think that if he can share some of it, maybe we will also be more receptive towards what comes from him. I think it's also very important. He should explore so many other ways. But in terms of music, Eedris is gone. The consumers have gone past Eedris. Eedris, I think the generation and that we're familiar with Eedris right now are not as high consumers of music like the generation now, the Gen Zs and all that. The Gen Zs will not be able to comprehend what Eedris is singing. Because Idris's music is not the most interesting. He doesn't. There's no rhythm. He just speaks in the songs. Based on how he feels. He's not trying to follow rhythm. He's not trying to follow melody. He just sings it based on Nigeria, jaga jaga. So I think that in several other capacities, he can put himself to very good use.
I think I agree, especially in reference to the generations now, from the period when Eedris was quite popular in Nigeria. The kind of music that is being done now is made in Nigeria for the world. Most of the guys who are doing music, the guys who he claimed he sacrificed his career for, they are people who are doing music either in Nigeria for the world or in the world for the world. Look at the likes of Wizkid, Davido, Burna Boy, Thames, Arasta, Rema. All those cats are they are global now.
They are doing the music at a very high level. So you can't just come with some randomness. And then
made in Nigeria for Nigeria.
For Nigeria.
So, except if he wants to remain, back in the day we had artists actually in Nigeria who were like that, who were doing music in Nigeria for Nigerians, like Danfo, Rider, all those guys. But now these guys are making music for the world. So, and I don't see how he will go on a global stage now and do this song for who?
Nigerians.
Okay, are you only expecting Nigerians to attend your shows? Because it won't really. It will be difficult for people to relate with, globally, So, podcast again, it is.
If that musical talent is there is a way you can transition this thing. But for starters, it's not really there. One, and secondly, like I mentioned earlier, when you take that break, it's difficult to come back. And he didn't take that break. Is not the break Baba took. Is not 3 years
at all.
It's not 3 years. It's not a 3-year break. Baba took a long break. So thinking that you will come back without, it's going to be tough. So it's not something that will work when it comes to music. But I think there's so many other things he can do that would actually make sense, other than the music. And as regards that global standard music, the quality and all that, you can still speak in different dialects and still your music will still sound, globally. It will still be received globally. We still see the likes of Ashake. We still see the likes of Sheishe. Those are people who put a lot of Yoruba in their music, and their music still makes a lot of sense, and the music is still being accepted outside Nigeria internationally. So Nigerian music has an edge right now. It's globally respected, and so music that comes from Nigeria would be received, but it has to have quality. It has to have quality, sorry. So, and which I do not see that coming from Eedris.
So basically, it's one thing is the talent. The other thing is your ability to also sell. And You see, the question that comes to my mind now is, was Eedris cancelled in Nigeria? And I don't think it's true. Because, I don't think the answer is yes, because...
Sorry, what do you mean by cancelled?
Okay, so, you know how, like, the cancel culture?
Okay.
Like, yeah, was there a time where Nigerians felt like they didn't like him anymore? I don't think it ever happened. I think the only problem Eedris had was that he started fighting everybody, including himself. You know, so you're fighting everybody. You're not doing the music anymore. So it became like everything he was doing was monotonous. It had to be fight. Let me just fight everybody, fight the government, fight the people, fight the producers, fight the sponsors of shows, fight the record label owners, just keep fighting. And for music, as talented or skillful as you are, you have to be able to evolve, do different things. When people are used to you doing the same thing, they don't need to cancel you. They will just move on from you, you know. And there are several examples I just don't want to mention, though, in the music industry that we have seen that did this exact same thing. And today, nobody is listening to their music. In fact, one of them goes around telling everybody that this song you just made, you stole it from me, and we've never heard this song. So, you know, it's the same. If you keep doing, I know the person. Oh well. so if you keep doing that, people will move on from you.
Yes.
And then don't blame people. You know, so don't blame people, but be creative, do other things, come out. And, you know, one of the artists I respect a lot that has been off and on, just like Yinka was saying, that it's difficult, but some have been able to do it once in a while. And some also have evolved from just being artists to production, you know, to other things in the music industry. The Akbako Master, you know, he has been away for a while now, but he has been doing a lot in the background, you know. So what has Eedris been doing in the background? Do we know?
No idea.
Exactly. But all of a sudden, there's a diss track now, and so it's something that really I think he should reflect on. And perhaps, like I said, Nigerians have not cancelled him. He has just been too monotonous. He has to do some different things, and I'm sure that people would still, he will still have a huge fan base after all.
As regards cancelling him, I want to bring a different perspective, just slightly contrary to what you said. I think there is a possibility that he might have been cancelled. Because just like you mentioned, not too long ago.
Oh, but Nigeria.
Nigeria. In the music industry.
Okay,
in the music industry, within the music industry.
Yeah, but not by Nigerians.
No, not by Nigerians. But at the end of the day, the people controlling the music industry are Nigerians, and it's what they want us to hear that we get to hear at the end of the day. Up until maybe only recently, when the internet and all the streaming platforms have been able to. And TikTok too has been able to give us so many other alternatives. But as at Idris's time, when he was out there, a lot was controlled by the media. A lot was controlled by the likes of Alaba and all that. And we don't know what has happened, or what must have transpired back then between Eedris and so many other people, because he's a controversial person.
But
has he had issues with people in the industry? Has he had issues with people in the radio stations?
Don't you think Nigeria Jaga Jaga was a hit?
Oh, he was.
Exactly. And it was the time when he was seemingly cancelled that he released that song by the music industry. And Nigerians accepted it at that time. Nigerians, in fact, really, it was a big hit in Nigeria.
Yeah.
You know. So what I'm trying to say is Nigerians, like, especially now, you've also highlighted the fact that there are different other platforms that if he does good music now, he will sell. there are no restrictions anymore. So he has not been cancelled per se. Maybe, like you rightly pointed, the people, the powers that be at the time, yes, did. But in generality, I think Nigerians were still looking forward to Eedris coming out with, songs. Well, his Mr. Lecturer was a good song too.
Back then, yeah?
Yeah. He had some songs that were really good, but they were not fighting songs. They were not diss tracks. They were good, songs. Songs that could make you laugh and, also think about certain things. Because he highlights most of the time in his songs social issues, and like I said, that Mr. Lecturer, till now we still have issues with cases like that in our universities.
Sex for grades.
Exactly. In fact, documentaries and movies have been done after that song came out. So yeah, I think he just needs to do things differently from what he has now been known for too long. Everything is not a fight. Also, do some things that sound like you're preferring solutions or you're highlighting the good parts to humanity and all of those kinds of things. Contribution.
Yeah,
exactly, to humanity. So yeah.
Yeah, so I totally agree with you. I think as Eedris needs to do more than just what he's doing now, coming out and drop this song whenever he feels he needs to do, or whenever he wants to be relevant and he wants to be talked about. He needs to do more than that. But I just think that there's a possibility, like I mentioned earlier, that he might have been cancelled. Because even after the Jaga, we all know Eedris is controversial. So what might have happened after Jaga? Could he have stepped on some toes? After that, because we know there's some arrogance in Eedris. Having a big song, Nigeria Jaga at that period, could have, made Eedris be more arrogant. Could have made him have one or two issues with some people in the music industry, the promoters, and whatnot. So there's a possibility that he might have been cancelled back then, but there's also a possibility that Eedris is just saying what he feels like, because sometimes Eedris says what he feels like. But we also have to applaud Eedris when he does something good. And the fact that Eedris always takes that initiative to come out and address issues, I think is something that should be applauded. Yeah.
Okay, looking into his song, he raps, Yorubas are screaming, a big power, Hausas are screaming, Muna Jinua, Igbos are saying, no consign us. So if you're not Yoruba, a big power means we are hungry. Hausa, Muna Jinua means we are hungry as well. Then, no consign us means it's none of our business. So, as a Nigerian, what is your view? Like, what's your view on this? Like what he said in the song.
I think it's just like the same thing we've been saying. He's pointing out the same things that we all know, especially as regarding the hunger in Nigeria. Yes, there's hunger in the land. But it's the last part I don't understand. The part where he's saying that Igbos are saying, consign us. I don't know which Igbos he knows, because there are Igbos that I know that are also saying that they are hungry, and they are not saying that it's not concerning to them, because they are also feeling the bite of the current economy.
There was a trend going around some years back, last year I think, where when the Yoruba started complaining of hunger, Hausas who came out were protesting, complaining of hunger, but the Igbos were taking pictures on themselves, taking alcohol, eating plenty meat, saying that it's none of their business, they are not suffering. So I don't know, maybe that's what it's referring to.
I don't know when that trend came out. I don't think I saw it. The only trend that I saw that I think perhaps would make any difference to me, which is not a bad thing in itself. The Igbos are progressives and they work hard. You know, the Igbos don't really sit around waiting for handouts.
Yeah.
Unlike most other parts of the country. And if people who are working hard are trying to make a living, and they are able to at least fend for themselves and feed, you have a problem with that? I mean, it is what it is. They are saying that we have, some Igbos, especially like the trend I referred to earlier. In December, we saw a lot of Igbos that we thought did not have money take pictures in their villages in mansions. Meanwhile, they were hustling in other cities. So that's my point. Like, if people are really, truly hustling and then making their lives better, you know, would you really blame them? And I don't know, like I said, I don't have any Igbo friends who have said, consign me. I don't know. It's perhaps his group of friends that are Igbos that are saying that. But me, I don't know. What I do know is that everywhere in Nigeria, if you're not able to at least have some viable source of income or business, you would also say you're hungry. So you cannot remove some from this hunger spectrum in Nigeria. There's no place that does not have people that are hungry, So that's just my take on that phrase for now.
Yeah. Well, Eedris said what he felt or what he saw or what he has noticed. Personally, too, on Twitter, there are so many toxic people on that Twitter self. so many Nigerians on Twitter. Wow. So I came across a few posts concerning this issue too, that last year, early this year, where the Yorubas were complaining that they were hungry, the Hausas too were complaining of the hardship, and where it was made to seem like the Igbos didn't really care. Where it was like, okay, Shebi, we did not vote for our candidates, so we all suffer this, suffer now, and all that, and some of it also came from some of the obedience. It came from some of them. And when I say obedience now, I mean the ones on Twitter. Some of them on Twitter are toxic. And this is not me trying to sugarcoat anything. It's just what it is, Yeah. So he might have seen some of those posts, or he might have come across. If you're on Twitter, you see a lot of these things. So I came across some of it to where it was made to feel like that part did not care, and they kept it moving. But I think that I agree with you in the sense that we shouldn't make it sound like they don't care. I think they are just moving on. They're accepting the reality and they're doing what they have to do. But some of those toxic people on Twitter also made it seem like, yes, we don't care. That some of it felt targeted. And so he just said what he felt it was. He could have spoken to some of his Igbo friends to find out what we are hungry in Igbo is. And, I said it, but I think he too is taking his own shots too. And it is a diss track at the end of the day, so it's touching everybody.
You do also agree that some of these obedience are not Igbos. So if he's seeing obedience tweeting these things and he generalizes to say the Igbos are saying we don't care, it will be a default too as well. It will not be a right statement. So I think he should have been more cautious. If that is what he used to. Right now, we don't even know how he got this context. We don't know. Like we are saying, it might be that he got it from Twitter. It might be that it's actually physical people that he knows that said this thing to him. But if by any chance it's from Twitter, then he will be very wrong. He'll be very wrong.
He's a controversial person. So be rest assured that in every scenario, he's going to pick the most controversial parts to amplify more than any other thing. So we also have to consider that.
That's true.
Do you think that the present government will react to this song as the former president Olusegun Obasanjo did some years back?
That's not going to happen. Another thing is, even if the song gets to them in the first place,
They will listen to it now. They have children.
One thing is, you think the present government are not even hearing this outcry as a whole? They're hearing it everywhere, and they are well aware of this outcry. I don't think that because within this whole hardships, Eedris Abdulkareem now comes out to be the one that will talk, and then the government will now run into their private rooms and begin to hold a meeting that how do we resolve this issue as Oga Eedris has spoken out. So I don't think they will react to it. They will hear it, and this will further confirm the outcry that things are actually hard, things are tough, and that's the truth. So they will hear it. He's helping us amplify it better, but I don't think anything will change after this song.
I don't even know. So the thing is, this government too has a very humorous part to them because, President Tinubu has proven so many times that he can bring out the fun side to him, of himself in different occasions, like during the Democracy Day. We all recall what happened when he had the sleep, and he made the joke out of it.
Yeah.
And it's just possible he may, or he may not too. So it depends on how he's feeling. If he wakes up on the right side of the bed, he might just come out and make a joke out of the whole thing. Even President Obasanjo then too. Although it sounded like it was serious, but it ended up being that he didn't take it to heart so much. In fact, I think they made up after a while, So he might come out and say something, but I don't think it will be in the context of, I'm going to the National Assembly to make changes.
Another thing to consider is that during the Jaga Jaga time, Eedris was a known figure.
Yeah.
Right now, Eedris is still known, but it's not the most relevant.
Yeah.
So I don't. To me, I don't think it will spoil any reaction.
Okay, this might sound like I'm repeating, but yeah. In his 2023 remix, Lord of Jaga Jaga, he tackled figures like ex-president Muhammadu Buhari, Olusegun Obasanjo. Did his song have an impact? He's been known for addressing societal and political issues. Do you think he has made an impact in that regard? My final conversation.
I think the impact he has made so far is probably the fact that he has reiterated what we all know. And perhaps something that maybe has not been said loudly enough for the people in government or our leaders to take action. But if you mean if his music has actually really made government make certain decisions, I really don't know. He will probably have to point us in that direction. What exactly he was able to achieve, maybe he will get an award. But right now, I cannot point to anything, in particular.
Yeah. Eedris would, as you said, you would need to point it out, but I would always want to applaud him for coming out to say these things, because we're at a time where nobody really wants to come out to say anything. People are always just minding their business and minding their businesses and all that. So I think that for him to always take that initiative, not like he has done it so many times, but at least the times that he has done it, for him to take that initiative, I applaud Eedris for that. And I also call on so many other people with platforms to come out and speak when the need be, when the people need voices to come and speak for them. So it's a good one that Eedris came to speak. Or sing, or whatever that was. But he should, I think that he should also, still do so many things on the ground and not just come after some years and then say something based on how you're feeling or based on the fact that you think you need some clout, and then you come out and say some things controversially or however way you're feeling. Some of these things, when he comes out, should be more calculated, rather than just coming out and saying anything based on how he's feeling. He should try and make more impact to the society one way or the other within his capacity. You don't necessarily need to have too much money. You don't necessarily need to have too many things to be able to make impact. Within the small space that you are, you can do one or two things. You can, impact people around you. It's not everything that has to be violent. Not everything that has to be fights. Not everything that has to be insults. I think he should, there are so many things he can do. And you should also consider so many avenues to pass across these messages. And as we mentioned, podcasts, Eedris, go back, sit back, try and... what I'm giving you, Eedris, in a few years' time, Eedris, bring 5 million. Because he will make it. There's no doubt about it. He will blow. And I think he has some contacts. He can invite some people who are at least a little bit prominent to come and speak. And he will do well, and he will do at least as good as so many people doing podcasts out there. And I think there are so many other talents that he might have that we don't even know. We also implore him to explore those talents and bring them out. We care about you. We wish you the best in life, and we do not hate you. We do not have anything against you. We are coming out as plain as we can be, and we wish you all the best in life, Eedris.
Yeah. I think that's correct, especially in regards to what he has been able. I mean, we keep saying that he has to point us in that direction, and the only reason why we are saying that is because we have examples of others who have done stuff like that we can point to. Even the people that he sacrificed his career for have done stuff, like that we can point to. During the NSAS campaign, I remember Davido came to Abuja and went to the IG's office, and sat down, spoke with them. I know of some other musicians like Fino, what's his name? Flavor and the rest that were in the East, and they actually they marched to the governor's office and they all talked to him. I mean, it's very possible for him to mobilize like that. Daddy Shoki too has done a lot of those kind of activism work, and we've seen changes starting first from his local community to other parts. And it's not bad for you sometimes to vent, but it has to make sense. It has to have an impact. If we all are just venting, it will just be a chorus of woes. Let it be that it is making impact. So we don't hate him. We like what he's doing so far, but he can improve on it and to make it better.
Thank you so much for your time. It was an interesting conversation. And bye-bye.